Hello, and welcome to another episode of News You Can Use. On today's show, we're going to talk about the beginning of a child's career in red clay, kindergarten. We have set up open houses at all of our elementary schools in the coming weeks for you to bring your child and be able to register at the school. We have Dr. Amy Grundy here with us today, who's going to tell us a little bit about those events and talk to us about how kindergarten has changed over the years. We also have some events coming up this month. The school year is winding down, but our calendar is always filled with interesting things that are going on. So we hope that you stay with us today on News You Can Use. Thanks very much. As we discussed today, I'm here with Dr. Amy Grundy, and we're going to talk about an exciting time in every family's life, and that's when a child is ready to go to kindergarten. Mm-hmm. Even though a lot of children go to preschool prior to kindergarten, it's still an exciting time in a child's school life to start school.
I would agree with that. It's when they begin their formal K-12 schooling career. So it's a big transition even from preschool. Even if you're in preschool within the district, it's still an exciting time.
Yeah, it really is. And we're here to let you know about two special evenings we have planned at all of our elementary schools on April 25th and May 2nd. And these are days when, Amy, why don't you tell us a little bit about it? The schools will be open and for families to come and register their children for kindergarten.
Absolutely. So last year we started these events. We called it early kindergarten registration. But as we reflected on last year's events, which were a huge success, we decided we really want registration in red clay to happen in the spring. So it's no longer being deemed early registration, but just kindergarten registration. So every year in the spring, we'll host events where we encourage our families to come register for kindergarten as opposed to waiting until August. So these events, as you indicated, are April 25th and May 2nd at each of our elementary schools. They'll take place between 4:15 and 6:15. And each school is going to plan a different evening for their families. Mm-hmm. So each school has the autonomy to identify what special activities, but every school will have special activities for the students. So some schools will have a photo booth, some will have a craft make and take that the students can participate in, a scavenger hunt to learn your way around the school building. Mm-hmm. But what will be the same at every school is that each student will take a very brief assessment. And it's not intended to be any kind of stress or pressure, no preparation required. But we want to start gathering some information about our students and information about where they're entering. So it'll be letter recognition, number recognition, color recognition, can they write their name? And as we gather that data, it'll help to inform us as we start planning our classes and planning for the school year. So it's a very low pressure assessment, but that is the one consistent thing that will happen at each school. Okay. Many schools will have light refreshments. It is intended to be a fun event, but also an event where parents can get all the paperwork that they need to register their student. Mm-hmm. They would need to bring their birth certificate, immunizations. There's documents that are listed on our website and on the flyers that are in each of our elementary schools that indicate what a parent should bring in order to register their student. Okay. And certainly if they don't have all the documents that evening, they can get the paperwork and start working with the school to start the process of registration.
Okay. And how old, I know kindergarten starts at 5, but how old does a child have to be, or what's the date range there?
So a student must be 5 by August 31st.
Okay.
So if they miss that cutoff, they're not eligible for kindergarten, and we don't have any early admission into kindergarten here in Red Clay. So the cutoff is a firm date. Unfortunately, there's got to be a cutoff, and it's August 31st. Okay. So if a student is 5 by August 31st, their family should come out and register on either April 25th or May 2nd at their feeder elementary school.
Okay. And there's a program on the Red Clay website, redclayschools.com, where you can, if you don't already know your feeder school,
Correct.
where you can plug in your address and learn what feeder school you would register at. Yeah. And it's important that you register at the feeder school.
Correct. Now, in kindergarten, there is choice all the way through the first day of school, but regardless, you would need to register at your feeder school. And so while all of our schools did have choice open houses in the fall and the winter. This is a great opportunity for families perhaps to visit more than one event, although the registration would have to take place at the feeder school.
Right.
But since it's 2 evenings, and the time is 4:15 to 6:15, but you don't have to arrive at 4:15 and stay until 6:15.
It's an open house.
Correct. So it's fluid. You show
Right.
up and arrive when you can.
Right.
They'll roll you through the assessment. You're participate in any activities that you feel comfortable participating in, and then when you have your paperwork or your registration complete, you know, it is in fact an open house.
Yeah. So it helps, the family plan. It also helps the district plan. That's one of the reasons that it's important for us to know, with as much time as possible, how many students are going to be entering our system each year.
Right. So to gather the data about where are students entering, and we realize that students will learn and grow between April and the first day of school. And so when they arrive to school, this data is just a snapshot of where they are now, but our teachers will engage students in other assessments when the school year starts to see where their baseline, where they're actually starting kindergarten. But remind me the question.
Yes.
I lost my train of thought.
The planning. How is
So
this
in
gonna help
addition
us
to gathering
plan?
the data, it helps to inform principals of how many students they can expect, because kindergarten really is, we use trend data. We know how many kindergarten students we've had in the past, but we don't have exact numbers. We don't have cutoffs. So if you live in the feeder pattern, you come to your school.
That's
we do
right.
have cutoffs for choice. So certainly not every school has space for choice, but it's something that you can explore, a family can explore with our choice office. But it does help a principal to plan how many kindergarten classes I'll need, how many supplies and materials I'll need. And so it really is, it benefits the school, benefits the family, just for organizational purposes to get the students registered in April and May.
Yeah, definitely. And traditionally, would some people wait until the fall, or what was happening?
Traditionally, it's that last week in August where the school offices become flooded with families who, for no fault of anybody, but realize,
Right.
oh my gosh, school is starting and I have to
Right.
get my students registered. So we're hopeful by having these events that families will be able to plan ahead, and it will alleviate some pressure in the summer. They can just relax and enjoy because they know that their students are already registered for school.
That's right.
But prior to these events, the expectation was that a family would register in the summer. And so we really want to shift that tradition and create a tradition whereby students register in the spring.
Yeah, good. And we'll be putting out some signs. We'll be putting out some reminders for people. But remember, those days are April 25 and May 2nd, 4:15 to 6:15. And as Dr. Grundy mentioned, you can go to more than one school if you are considering taking advantage of the choice program.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
One of the things that a family might be interested in looking at choice is because of the new immersion programs that we've started at some of our elementary schools. Why don't you tell us where we are with those?
Sure. So we have immersion strand programs in 3 of our elementary schools. The 2017-18 school year was the first year that at Marbrook Elementary School and Moat Elementary School we implemented a Spanish immersion program in kindergarten. So those kindergarten students who are part of that program will now move to the first grade, and we're seeking students to be part of cohort number 2 in kindergarten at those schools. And then at Linden Hill, we have a Mandarin, a Chinese immersion program. Again, that first kindergarten cohort is moving to first grade, and we're seeking kindergartners who are interested in an immersion program in Mandarin in Linden Hill. And so to do that, even if you are a feeder student, you would need to fill out a choice application and select a special program. So even if it is your feeder school, it's a little bit unique. You fill out the choice application not to be accepted into the school, but rather to be accepted into the program.
Right, because not every kindergarten class at these 3 schools are going to be language immersion. So if you do have an interest that your child be in those programs, you do have to take that extra step.
Correct, because it's a strand program. So there'll be 2 classes that spend half their day in English and half their day in the target language, but then there'll be 2 or 3 sections in each school, or maybe 1, 2, or 3 sections in each school that's just traditional kindergarten.
Okay.
So there's opportunity there. But yes, to be part of the program, you do need to take that additional step. Choice even if it is your feeder school, or if you're interested in the program and it's not, choice, but then check that you want that special program, the immersion program.
And there'll be a lot of staff at these schools to help you,
Absolutely.
to answer all your questions that you have. One of the largest questions that people ask is what paperwork they have to bring. As you indicated, we do have a list on the district website for, what qualifies as proof of residence and those types of things.
So it is proof of residence, birth certificate, immunization, and I don't want to leave out any important documents, so it's important that a family would check to see exactly what documents. And again, as we mentioned earlier, if you arrive at the event and you believe you're prepared to register but you're missing a document, the school is certainly willing to work with you to help you to get organized and identify which documents are missing and create a timeline to get those documents in.
Now, is it necessary? Obviously, it sounds like you're setting up family-friendly events so people can come and bring their kids, but is it necessary to bring? You do because of the assessment.
Yeah, we
you
would
do.
Be hopeful that you would bring the actual student who's entering kindergarten, but certainly bring the whole family, because there will be arts and crafts or scavenger hunt or photo booths. This is a great opportunity for families to begin forming relationships with the school. So each school has a priority set around building relationships and communication between home and school. And I think that this early step in spring, preparing for kindergarten, is just a golden opportunity to take advantage of building that relationship, creating the foundation. I was at an event last year where one little boy was holding his parents' hands on the way out, and he said, "Do I get to come back tomorrow?" And he was so excited by what he did in that short 45-minute period of time that he really wanted to come back the next day. And I think it helped alleviate pressure on the parents to see that the student was excited about coming to school as well.
Yeah. I'm reminded of that commercial where the little kid comes home from kindergarten and he says, "I have to go back the next day," but this is the opposite. That's good. Kindergarten, talking about, language immersion programs and other things that are happening in kindergarten. Has kindergarten changed over the years? What can parents expect that their children will be learning in kindergarten these days?
So it has changed. I think that when you and I, and probably time after us, went to kindergarten, it was a lot of play, a lot of just developmentally appropriate kind of, let's ease our way into school. And then over the course of years, it has become more academic. Where there's kindergarten standards, there's things that we expect students to know and be able to do by the end of kindergarten. But what's really nice now at this current time is that we are striving to find that balance, because there needs to be balance. We absolutely have an obligation to make sure that our students are academically prepared for first grade, but we also have an obligation to make sure that they're socially prepared for the first grade. And so we're working as a district right now with a team of kindergarten teachers to talk through what would the ideal kindergarten day look like. And what it is in fact academic, but with systematized guided play built into the school day so that kids have a healthy balance of academics and play.
And the academics and everything and the play, these are done in ways that, are, as you say, age appropriate is the word that you use. It's not that we're, expecting kindergartners to learn algebra by the end of kindergarten.
It's age appropriate, and it's if we want kids to be prepared for K-12, to be, and it seems almost absurd to think about it with a 5-year-old, but to be college or career ready, that we are thinking long term about what it is over the course of the school career that a student needs to be able to do. And so no, it's not academics to the point where a parent wouldn't be able to support a student in school. It's making sure that they know their letters and that they're able to write their letters and that they're learning the beginning stages of writing and reading, and that we're creating that strong foundation so that as academics do become more challenging, that they're prepared and they have that foundation.
I would also imagine too that just from my own life, I've known students that maybe had a rough time in kindergarten, and then it kind of takes a little while for them to catch up, in terms of even liking school. So is the play part of that too, that, us thinking about what the experience is for the child?
I think it is, because it's guided play, but it's also based on student interest. So students get to engage in different centers based on where the teacher perhaps assigns them, but the direction that it takes once they're in that center or that play area is based on what the child is interested in or at their level of comfort of participation. And we say guided because the teacher then kind of listens in and asks questions to help push student thinking around that play. But they also allow them to explore, build relationships with their peers, figure out how to solve conflict with their peers, build relationships, share. It's all the skills, to refer back to that famous poem, Everything I Ever Needed to Know, I truly learned in kindergarten. We want to make sure that both academically and socially that we're doing that for our students.
Okay, terrific. And you don't need to register for these events. They're open houses.
They're open houses.
Yeah.
They'll be there both nights, 4:15 to 6:15. And we really do encourage all our families who live in the Red Clay School District to come check them out. Even some of our neighboring districts, if you're interested in choicing into one of our kindergarten programs. Again, choice has limited space in some of our schools, but some of our schools absolutely have space for students to choice into kindergarten.
Okay. And what was your experience like last year? Did a lot of people did come to register?
They did. So I think different school communities had different attendance levels, and it was year one. And so as this becomes more of a tradition, I'm hopeful that attendance will increase. But our schools were all prepared with special events for our families, so we do encourage our families to take advantage of these opportunities to get ahead of the game, get their students registered for kindergarten.
And then you can go into the
introduced to
summer
school.
knowing that you've taken care of it.
Right, and then it is an entry point for a student into their new school, and will help them to feel more comfortable as August approaches.
Yeah, and we welcome these new students. It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah, and just going out taking pictures every year, the first day of school, that's where we want to be, at the kindergarten classrooms.
And this way our parents can come in with their students to these special events, and when the first day of school happens, they'll feel less tense, hopefully, about releasing their students to the school, because they've already started to build that trusting relationship.
Yeah, terrific. Okay. Is there, again, if you have questions about what to expect at registration, what you need for registration, please visit our website, redclayschools.com. You can also find more information on the language immersion programs if you're interested in that. And on the choice program if you're interested in looking at more than one school. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Amy, for
I don't. I think we covered it, but again, I do encourage families to attend. I do believe it's a great opportunity for our schools to meet our families, for our families to meet our schools, and to start the kindergarten experience off on a positive note.
Okay, terrific. Okay, well, stay with us. When we come back, we'll go over a couple of upcoming events on Mark Your Calendars. So please stay with us. Thank you.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
You are watching EdTV.
When?
Now.
You are watching EdTV.
You're watching EDTV. EdTV, okay.
It doesn't look like a big Go? That's all, folks.
Hi, and welcome back to News You Can Use. I'm your host, Patty Nash. On Mark Your Calendars today, we'd like to tell you upcoming events for the rest of April. On the 10th, there'll be the PSAT test for grades 8, 9, and 10, and the SAT test for 11th graders. On April 18th, the Red Clay Board of Education will hold their regular monthly meeting at Warner Elementary School at 7 p.m. As you heard on today's show, on the 25th, we'll have our first of two district-wide kindergarten registration events at all elementary schools. On the 26th, the Thursday, we will have the District High School Band Festival and Art Show at Cab Calloway School of the Arts at 7 p.m. And also a note to remember that the 27th of April appears on your calendar as a parent conference day with no school, but that is a snow makeup day, so there will be school on the 27th. Well, thanks again for joining us today on News You Can Use, and I hope you heard something useful. Thank you.